Over the course of a long career, an archaeologist is almost guaranteed to come across one or two things they simply can't explain or even understand. Most of the time, that's not a huge deal. When something feels off, they bring it to scientists and let them figure it out. But every now and then, even the scientists don't have an answer. And when that happens, we're left with unsolved mysteries, the kind you're about to see in this video. Each of them feels completely impossible. So let's begin with number 15, the haunting ancient helmets. Well, not every old artifact is mysterious because it's ancient. Some are mysterious because they look absolutely ridiculous, and nobody can explain why they were ever made. That brings us to these helmets. One of the strangest comes from 16th century Japan, where a samurai once wore a golden octopus on his head and apparently expected people to take him seriously. It's weird, but not pointless. Octopuses had a strange place in Japanese culture, tied to both fear and symbolism, and some warriors may have believed the creature offered protection or made them look more intimidating. Which, to be fair, it probably did. But then Europe decided to get involved and somehow made things worse. One of the oddest helmets ever linked to royalty was supposedly gifted to King Henry VIII by Emperor Maximilian I. Instead of looking powerful, it had glasses, wrinkles, a weird nose, and horns that made it look like a drunk goblin with status issues. Why anyone thought that was an appropriate gift for Henry VIII remains a total mystery. Number 14. The Forbidden Ancient Gummy Bear. Some artifacts look scary, some look sacred, and some look like they should come in a candy packet next to sour worms. This one is the third kind. Back in 1887, people near Swupsk found a tiny amber object in a peat bog that looked uncannily like a gummy bear, except this one was around 3,500 years old and very much not edible. Experts now think it was likely an amulet, probably worn by a hunter, which makes sense once you realize it was shaped like a bear and had a small hole bored through it for hanging. What's actually impressive is how well it was carved. Despite being tiny, it has carefully shaped ears, a snout, eyes, and even little nostrils, all done with surprising detail for something that old. Locals ended up loving the thing so much they nicknamed it the Amulet of Happiness, which is honestly adorable. But who really made it? At number 13, Thracian Tomb at Sveshtari. Ancient tombs often contain wealth, but every so often one opens up and leaves even expert archaeologists looking stunned. That is what happened in the Bulgarian village of Sveshtari, where a Thracian tomb was found holding a rare collection of gold treasures buried around 2,400 years ago. Whoever was laid to rest there was clearly no ordinary person. Archaeologists cannot prove it was a king or ruler, but the scale and quality of the burial make that possibility hard to ignore. The craftsmanship alone is enough to stop you. A gold tiara from the tomb is decorated with lion reliefs, while several rings carry carefully formed human faces. There were also bracelets, horse ornaments, and tiny animal figurines, all made with astonishing precision. Even now, and the level of detail feels almost unfairly advanced, the Thracians themselves remain something of a mystery. Historians believe they were absorbed into Slavic populations after invasions during the 7th century, but discoveries like this make it clear their world was once rich. Number 12. The ancient Roman villa in Scarborough, Britain, has Roman ruins everywhere, so it takes something unusual to make archaeologists stop and stare. This one absolutely did. In Scarborough, experts uncovered the remains of a Roman villa so strange that they believe it may be completely unique in Britain and possibly even across the old Roman world. The structure appears to have been a wealthy residence, something close to a countryside mansion, and it even included its own bathhouse. That alone would have made it impressive, but the real shock lies in its design. At the center of the building sits a huge circular room, with the rest of the villa spreading outward from it. That layout is almost unheard of. The villa was only discovered because exploratory digging was carried out ahead of a planned housing development. Otherwise, it might have stayed buried forever. Archaeologists are still trying to figure out whether the circular design had some ritual or symbolic meaning, or whether its owner simply had unusually bold architectural taste. Number 11. The mysterious Acambaro objects. Well, finding one weird clay figure is archaeology. Finding 33,000 of them is how you accidentally start a cult. That's basically what happened in 1944. When a man named Waldemar Julsrud claimed he discovered a huge buried collection of ceramic figurines near Acambaro, and not just ordinary little statues either. These things supposedly showed humans, dinosaurs, bizarre creatures, and even shapes that made people start whispering about UFOs, which obviously made people go crazy. Julsrud was convinced the collection proved humans once lived side by side with dinosaurs, and maybe even had some alien help on the side. The problem is, the figurines were almost certainly fake. Archaeologists noticed they looked way too fresh, had no convincing signs of age, and came from a pit that appeared to have been dug recently, which is not exactly ideal when you're trying to rewrite all of history. So no, Acambaro probably didn't reveal a lost prehistoric truth. But the question is, why did they create them? Number 10. Bronze Greek warrior's helmet. When this beautifully preserved bronze helmet was pulled from the seabed of Haifa Harbor in Israel, archaeologists were left with two obvious questions. How did it end up there, and who on earth had once worn it? The helmet is believed to be around 2,500 years old, and it clearly did not belong to an ordinary foot soldier. Its surface is covered with detailed engravings of animals and decorative motifs, making it one of the most ornate pieces of ancient Greek armor ever discovered. That level of craftsmanship points to someone of status, perhaps even a commander or elite warrior. The leading theory links it to the Persian Wars, when Greek naval forces clashed with Persian-controlled territories in the region. It may have fallen from a ship during battle and vanished beneath the water for centuries. Technically, it is just as impressive as it is beautiful. It was shaped from a single sheet of bronze using heat and hammering, a difficult process that produced a helmet both protective and surprisingly light. It now rests in a museum. Number 9. Roman Emerald Production Center emeralds have tempted human beings for as long as beauty and wealth have had any power over the imagination, which is to say, almost forever. Wherever precious stones were prized, somebody somewhere worked to dig them out of the earth. That makes this 2021 discovery in Egypt especially exciting. Archaeologists uncovered an ancient emerald production center in the eastern desert, in the region once known as Mons Smaragdus, and the site includes 3 old buildings in an area that was controlled by the Romans. Another Roman-era emerald mine had already been located nearby in the 19th century by Frederick Caillot, so this new discovery adds valuable detail to a story that was already intriguing. Researchers hope it will help explain how emerald extraction was organized and carried out. 19 coins found inside one of the buildings date the center to the 4th century and suggest it remained active for about 100 years. Even more interesting, the largest structure appears to contain an older inner chamber, hinting that mining here may have begun much earlier. But the truth is still pending. Number 8. The Nazca Lines. You don't carve giant birds, monkeys, spiders, and geometric highways into the desert unless you're trying to say something. And the problem with the Nazca Lines is that nobody knows what that something was. These huge geoglyphs were created around 2,000 years ago in southern Peru by scraping away the darker top layer of rock to reveal lighter ground underneath. Simple method. Insane result. Some of the figures stretch hundreds of feet across, and the whole thing covers a massive chunk of desert near Nazca. What makes them even stranger is that you can't really appreciate most of them from the ground. They only make proper sense from above, which is why people have spent decades saying things like aliens with way too much confidence. But there's no solid evidence that little green tourists were using Peru as a parking lot. The more grounded theory is that the lines had ceremonial or spiritual meaning, possibly tied to water, pilgrimage, or gods watching from above. But these are just random theories. Number 7. Lake Constance, dugout canoe. Archaeology rarely offers easy victories, and this discovery proves it. At the end of March 2021, archaeologists in Lake Constance identified what is now believed to be the oldest known watercraft ever found in the lake. It is a dugout canoe, and experts think it was made around 4,000 years ago. Naturally, they want to bring it to the surface and study it properly, but that will not be simple. The canoe is so fragile that lifting it in one piece would almost certainly destroy it. The wood has softened over the centuries to such an extent that the vessel must be removed bit by bit. Since it measures about 26 feet in length, that careful process is expected to take weeks. There is something sad about dismantling such an extraordinary object just to save it, but there is no safer option. Its condition is remarkably good for something so old, and that survival owes everything to the silt that sealed it away from oxygen for thousands of years. Number 6. Track Rock Gap petroglyphs. Anyone visiting the Chattahoochee National Forest in Georgia would once have had the chance to stand before something truly rare. Ancient rock carvings and markings left behind by Native American communities roughly 1,000 years ago. That chance was damaged in early April 2021 when vandals attacked the petroglyphs at Track Rock Gap. More than 100 carvings are spread across the site, created long ago by Creek and Cherokee people. They are considered one of the most significant rock art locations in the southeastern United States, and in theory, they were supposed to be protected. That protection clearly failed when it mattered most. Some of the markings were painted over, while others were scraped so badly that parts were lost entirely. There is still hope that some of the destruction can be repaired, and security around the site has now been tightened. Even so, the damage is simply irreversible. These carvings are not just stones with marks on them. They are surviving pieces of ancient American memory itself. Number 5. Russian Atlantis. If Vladimir Putin finds something underwater during a staged photo op, your first instinct should probably be suspicion. And for once, that instinct would be absolutely correct. In 2011, Russian state media made a big show out of Putin scuba diving near the submerged ruins of Phanagoria, and an ancient Greek city on the Taman Peninsula sometimes nicknamed Russia's Atlantis. During the dive, he conveniently surfaced holding 2 ancient-looking amphorae as he'd just personally rescued history from the sea. The only problem was, they looked way too clean. Basically, they had all the underwater credibility of a freshly washed salad bowl. And sure enough, the whole thing later collapsed when his own spokesman, Dmitry Peskov, admitted the amphorae had been discovered earlier, cleaned up, and planted for Putin to find on camera. So no, this wasn't some incredible archaeological breakthrough. It was political theater with pottery, which, weirdly enough, might be the most believable part of the whole story. Number 4. Mysterious marble structure in Istanbul. Some discoveries are exciting because they answer questions. Others are fascinating because they refuse to. This weird structure, uncovered in Istanbul in 2018, belongs firmly in the second category. Archaeologists knew almost immediately that they had found something unusual, but they had no idea what it actually was. To this day, they still do not. Nothing quite like it has ever been found before, which makes even naming it difficult. The structure is built from carefully cut marble blocks, suggesting it had real significance and was not part of any ordinary construction project. Beneath it Archaeologists also found mass graves, and that detail has pushed some experts toward the theory that the site may have had religious or ceremonial importance. Dating it has been just as hard. Coins, roughly 2,700 years old, were found in the same area, but they do not prove when the structure itself was built. It appears too large to be a temple, yet too unusual to fit neatly into any category. For now, it remains one of archaeology's more stubborn mysteries. Number 3. Roman-era gallery beneath Topkapi Palace. History has a habit of stacking itself in layers, and sometimes one forgotten world sits quietly beneath another. That happened in 2021, when archaeologists discovered a Roman-era gallery hidden below the courtyard of Topkapi Palace in Istanbul, Turkey. The structure first came to light during landscaping work in the palace's lower gardens, and once its outline appeared, experts were brought in to confirm what had been found. A Byzantine cistern had already been discovered nearby in the past, so there is a fair chance the gallery was once connected to that older system. And the location makes the discovery even more fascinating. The Topkapi Palace was built in 1459, only 6 years after the Eastern Roman Empire fell. Building the palace right here may have carried a deliberate message, as though one power was rising exactly where another had just collapsed. There is talk that the gallery might eventually be opened for visitors, but first, archaeologists must make sure it is stable. Landscaping may already have harmed parts of it. Number 2. Dead Sea Scroll fragments. The Dead Sea Scrolls are among the most important archaeological finds ever made, but they have never felt complete. Most survive only in fragments, and every missing piece leaves room for more questions. That is why archaeologists were so excited in 2021 when new fragments were discovered in a cave south of Jerusalem. It was the first time in roughly 60 years that fresh pieces connected to the scrolls had been found. Around 80 fragments were recovered, carrying lines from the biblical books of Nahum and Zechariah written in ancient Greek. Experts believe they were hidden deliberately during a Jewish revolt against Roman rule around 1,900 years ago, although the fragments themselves are likely even older than that. The cave where they were found had already earned a grim reputation and is often linked to the so-called Cave of Horror. As if that were not enough, the same cave also produced a woven basket estimated to be 10,500 years old. Number 1. Ancient tombs in Shandong Province. Graves can tell the truth in ways old buildings sometimes cannot. The objects buried beside the dead often reveal what people valued, how they lived, and what they believed waited beyond life. That is why archaeologists were so thrilled in 2021 when 165 tombs were found in China's Shandong province. Most of them, 156 in total, date to the Han Dynasty and are about 2,000 years old. The other 9 go back even further, reaching roughly 2,500 years into the past, to the Eastern Zhou period. Many of the tombs are earthen chambers fitted with brick coffins and accompanied by pottery figurines. A few also include passage-like structures, which adds another layer of interest. The decorative patterns on some of the ceramics are still difficult to explain, and they may turn out to be symbolic, practical, or perhaps nothing more than artistic choices. Whatever the case, the craftsmanship is obvious, because the discovery is still fresh. Well, that's it from us. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. We'll see you soon.